I've been trying to somehow bridge the gap between the metapsychology of early Freud and Lacan. And the way that I approach it is through Freud's project for scientific psychology, which starts basically with this grandiose, hystericized even system of mental apparatus operating in accordance with energetic principle of inertia, right? It's an energetic model of the psychic apparatus, in which catexes are passed down quantitatively from one neuron to the other, striving towards discharge. But at a certain point, Freud noticed that this entire system that he created failed to account for the main area of his work, which were psychopathologies, right? So at a crucial point of developing this system, the point at which he confronts it with the symptom of the hysteric, he had to rely on this weird term, a term almost forgotten, like I think only Laplanche mentions it after Freud. The term is proton pseudos, or the first lie of the hysteric. Freud's understanding was that energy strives towards discharge, but then there are those weird moments where energy fixates and repeats basically in place, producing psychic responses which are in no way pleasurable, in terms of this satisfaction of discharge, satisfaction of reducing of the tension, right? But he also saw that the hysterics stick to those symptoms. They don't want to discharge. They, for some reason, stick to those symptoms. And so he came up with the idea, borrowed the idea from Aristotle, and said that somehow the unconscious of the hysteric is lying to the analyst. Like the hysteric that's lying there on the couch is somehow lying throughout the process. Right? So like this lie was a necessary tool for him to account for basically what will become the economics of the symptom later in his teaching, right? And so like here for me is the perfect bridge into Lacan and the discourse of the hysteric, which basically ties this lie not to some kind of malfunctioning of the psychic apparatus, but to a very specific phenomena in the clinic, which is that of inciting knowledge from the master signifier so that the hysteric subject does not disintegrate. Right, this lie is a lie almost of self-assertion in the face of some kind of originary void. So basically, what I try to show is that there is, in order for the psychoanalytic metapsychology to work, in order for the metapsychology of the symptom, of the fixation of energy, of the repetition of the drive and not instinct of the drive, which is dissociated from the instinct, dissociated from the function of biology, from the function of discharge, in order for all of this to work at the metapsychological level, there needs to be put in place a principle of the lie of energy, which will be the lie that accounts for the fixations of energy, for the fixations of sticking in place. For me, this lie begins at the point at which the signifier, the unary trait, the signifier that's not the signifier of the signifying structure, but the signifier all alone, is placed on the body in order to best approximate what happened during the traumatic bodily intrusion of some kind of originary event, right? So this is what begets repetition, but this repetition is begotten by basically a lie, by a misapprehension of this bodily event through the placement of this signifier all alone, which does not carry any kind of meaning as long as it's not yet placed in the signifying structure, right? So like in this way, we can account both for the ethics of psychoanalysis, because like Lacan obviously uses Freud's project in Seminar 7, right? He also returns to it in Seminar 16 when he introduces proto-hysteric discourse, when he introduces the algorithmic model of the discourse without speech, right? So basically in his most metapsychological works, Lacan relies without him even knowing about it, on this notion of some kind of original lie, which prevents one from using the beginning, using the originary event as any kind of useful truth in the clinic, right? This event is never approached directly. It's always approached via this singular signifier, which is not even tied to the signifying structure. This is basically the idea that I wanted to put forward.